on that week that you couldn't bring your 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old to come. So ag education and community involvement and entertainment is the best word I can think of at the moment. Just something in the middle of the summer that we can do for families in Broadwater County that draws people to the county and provides an event for people to attend in the middle of summer when things get boring and the kids are out of school and people are looking for something to do. To my knowledge, there is not a law that I am mandatory. I don't believe there is. I've never seen one. So there's that. So opportunities this year, I do a training and it moves every year. It's called the Rocky Mountain Association Affairs Convention. It is a 5-day training. This year it was in Spokane and they sent me, and one of the things that we are looking at is writing out volunteer job descriptions and expectations for our fair board members and our superintendents so that everyone knows when they come to the table what's expected of them, what is anticipated that year, and what they are going to be getting themselves into once they hit Fair Week. We've had some who don't quite understand why they're a part of the fair board and what their job is, and so things have been either falling through the cracks or other people have been doing their job for them. So we are setting out to make a little book. All of the people, the board, everything is volunteer. So it's not a job description as such, but it's expectations that when you fill this volunteer position, there are expectations set in front of you, and we anticipate that you will fill those expectations. So we are working on that right now. We are re-going through our bylaws because of some things that we learned. The president, John Rouser, and I were both at the board training that Dan put on and learned that some of the things in our bylaws could be misinterpreted. And so we are re-going through those and making sure that everything is crystal clear. Upcoming needs or upcoming expenses, it's not a expense that we don't know about. We are looking at building a gazebo over the cement area out of the fairgrounds. It would be a permanent structure. We are looking at fundraising and grants and things like that. We do not, if we do not have to, we are not looking at coming to the county for that money. We're looking at other resources available. I have had conversations and coffee with several sales promotion managers at larger corporations in Broadwater County, such as Wheat Montana and AmeriGas, and we've sat down, marketing directors, and we've sat down and had conversations about what can the fair do for you in exchange for you doing for us. And so that's the way we want to do some of those improvement type things at the fair, is through grants and through building relationships with marketing directors of larger corporations here in the county that could partner with us in those areas. So those are sort of some expenses that we're looking at, but it would not be a county expense. So yeah, we're excited. We're going to bring in some things this year, some local talent, and then some more stuff for the kids, and we just keep growing. Last year we had almost twice the attendance we had the year before, and we're looking at hopefully doubling again this year. So
awesome.
So yeah.
Yeah. When you said there's not a law that says you're mandatory, I would still argue education, families, those are essential services to our citizens.
Yes, and
So
we,
thank you.
the Fair Board and myself, we, going to the Rocky Mountain Association Affairs Convention and things like that has opened up that scape to, there are people moving into this county who don't understand agriculture, and that's one of the things we want to do is educate them, but we also want to draw people to the fair who may not want to just come look at a cow. We want to do other things there that can draw families together just for a time to be a family. Any more questions for me?
No, I think you've done a pretty good job answering everything.
That was pretty painless. I will get you a copy of this, if that's okay. And we'll go from there.
That'd be great.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Okay,
Am I up?
Yeah. Must be the last one here.
Yeah, Mike Ferguson's traveling, so Bob was gonna try to help get stuff, but he couldn't guarantee for today, so
Yeah,
there'll be another day.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. And of course, right when I was walking out the door is when I said, geez, I should get a copy of last year's budget so we can compare the two. So what I did was I just highlighted quickly, and I will cover the differences in the budget from last year to this year, at least the ones that are enough that, they're substantial enough that it makes a difference in what we're looking at. Basically, in looking at this sheet, you're gonna see two columns there, county and the school. So we have it divided up basically with the county pays, and then with the school will split with the county, basically speaking, or what we'll take care of. The big differences is last year's budget that we requested, and I may be incorrect on this, and because I kind of made changes after I moved it. Do you remember our bottom line? I thought it was 72, I have 70.
I got 70,903.
Good, we're on the exact same page then. So, last year's budget was 70,902.37, or thereabouts. What we're requesting this year is 66,834.63. So it's approximately a decrease of about $4,000. Where we're seeing the decreases, there are several increases, salaries, workers' comp, those things are gonna go up, we know that. Decrease is maintenance repair. So basically what I did was took basically what we were asking the county for, and I cut that in half. It was originally $4,000, I put that down to $2,000. I guess I would like to see more of a cooperative effort between the district and the county, that we look at those maintenance requests and we pitch in, you pitch in, kind of share those costs. We use it, you use it, it works for all of us. So that was one of the majors. Supplies went down approximately $1,000. So, and that's strictly from Angie going in, Angie Giono going in, doing her orders for next year, and giving me a total. Came out less. And some magazines will give you better deals than others. We saved money. And I'd always ask people to look for good deals, don't just buy it because you see it. The next one will be in books, and that decreases about $1,000. Again, it's just her budgeting, the way she worked it out, what she thought she would need, kind of looked at what we spent last year, trying to keep that budget up to date. The other figures are not substantial. They may be a little different than last year, but not substantial enough to really even talk about, in my opinion. So we're looking at approximately a $4,000 decrease in what we'd be asking for from the county. Any questions?
Eric, can you explain the relationship with our library between the school and the county?
That's an interesting thing because I am so new to this. I'm much better now because I've gotten all the library board meetings, or most of them. The relationship is actually a really good one because with our county is not highly populated, but enough that a good library is an important thing. And in schools, it is mandatory to have a library in your school and a librarian for every so many students. So this is a good joint effort between the county and the school district to offer those services to our students. And then at approximately 1 o'clock, I think, is when it opens to the public, and provide books, interlibrary loan. They do have some videos, Wi-Fi. So a lot of these services that, some folks may have a difficult time getting Wi-Fi, and as you know, the internet that we do get in Townsend is subpar at best. The school district is actually going to be on fiber optics here with our internet, hopefully by the end of July. So it's going to be a very, very hot spot, and fast, which was necessary. So I think it's a great relationship. I'm still working to understand what my part of that relationship is. I think most of it with the interlocal agreement is I basically do the budgeting and offer my thoughts when the board asks me. Other than that, I just sit there and listen, which is okay with me. Any other questions? And you would like me to cover these questions also?
Right, and you actually did quite a few of them.
Okay.
But yeah, anything else there that,
Okay, and a 2% COLA? That's a
That's-
new one to me.
right, that's actually, it wouldn't apply to you.
Okay,
In your
good.
budget, cause, your pay is paid by the school side of things.
Well, there you
We just pay
go.
a percentage, right?
What's that?
We actually just pay a percentage of what you guys have hired somebody for.
Yes,
Yeah, so that wouldn't apply to you.
okay.
I've already kind of done their, whatever cost of living in their salaries that they give us. so.
Sure.
Yes, because we're on a pay matrix now. With those, the hard part is, we have yet to negotiate with either the certified or the classified. They fall under the classified certification, or classified negotiated agreement. That has not, they have not negotiated that, and they're in the process of negotiating. We're gonna probably see an increase there. It could be 1.5%, 2%, I don't know. However, it's hard to budget that way and guess, so I would rather budget just with our steps and lanes, because that's what everybody gets. They move, classified, moved by years of experience. So those are the numbers we use. And like I said, it's an estimate. The other one that's an estimate on there is the copy machines. We're under a 5-year contract with Xerox. That expires in August. We just put it out to bid. It'll go out in paper tomorrow for new copier services. I don't know if that'll go up or down, but I'd rather use the numbers that we currently have. I'm going to assume it's gonna go up, but I'm gonna hope it goes down. But cost of living, cost of everything, it will go up. Rather stay with the numbers that I know, that are pretty firm, so. You kind of know what our department do. The laws, of course, the school has to follow specific laws as far as that librarian. So the chief librarian is a certified librarian, which is great. Opportunity of fiscal year, we're looking at increasing our technology. She did put in, as part of her supplies, to put in 5 more computers. Probably, and I think what we're doing is leaning towards county money with that, because it's for the people who come in and use the library, it's not for the kids. On the flip side of that, the school district is going to buy 5 Chromebooks for the library. And so that will actually be used on both ends, for the students and for the patrons that come in. Chromebooks are the newest and latest and greatest. They're a small laptop. They take up a lot less memory, a lot less space on our server, and they are so easy to use that a lot of people are moving to them because they're just the easiest. We have purchased well over 800 of them in the last year. So almost more than every kid and staff member in our building right now has access to Chromebooks. I've got one in my office, and they're amazing, and they are so much cheaper. They're about half of a laptop, if not less. So,
Yeah.
all right, any other questions?
I have 2.
Okay.
The first one, oh, the computers.
Yeah.
When will you need those, and will that be above this budget?
No, we're gonna work that right into this budget. It'll
Oh,
be
okay.
next year, and I think as part of the supplies. And again, it's kind of a cooperative to look. We use our tech people to, service those machines, to buy those machines, because they find us the best deals. And Angie's really good about not going in and saying, okay, I need new monitors, I need new everything. Just orders what we need to keep everything up to date and working.
Okay,
So we'll call that included right here in this budget.
okay, all right.
And we know that budgets, we do the best that we can, but this is only, you never know what actually occurs during the year. So maintenance, I think the only thing she really put on there is looking at maybe some replacement of carpets or some tiles. It's getting just old enough right now that some of those are starting to wear down a little bit. We did tile last year in the hallway, so. Okay, and you had another question.
It was a little bit more of a comment, but maybe with a question.
Okay.
Broadwater community and school library budget. So our library, was it, and maybe you don't remember, maybe you remember, I think it was a resolution countywide and a vote of the citizens
Mhm.
that created the library to be a community library as well as a school library, which is why the county pays a portion of the budget,
Mhm.
correct?
That's my understanding, and it was voted on a specific number of mills. But I better check that out before. Deb's been gone for a week.
I don't know
She's
about
in
the
the
mills,
way.
but I know it was voted on.
Yeah, that was
And that's
before my
been-
time, if there was mills.
Angie's the one who told me that we were guaranteed so many mills, but I'm not gonna speak on that. What I'm trying to, yes, this cooperation, it was voted upon. It's done in several communities in Montana, not a lot. I believe Ennis does it, there are several. But you get to kind of create your own unique relationship in that. And so that's where our interlocal agreement comes in, and that's where I'm learning, is reading through that to know what my responsibilities are, where we need to go with that. So I've involved Angie in much more than we have in the past with budgets and such, because, well, it's her library, not mine. I mean, we've got to have some ownership.
Last year, I got a number of phone calls after our kind of misunderstanding about the relationship of how the library works.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of people very upset that the county would consider not severing the relationship, which, in my opinion, would be the worst thing that
Oh,
we could do for the community.
I didn't even know that was a topic of discussion at any point.
It became one, unfortunately.
Okay,
But the community was very upset about even having conversation about
Okay.
that. So I want you to know how important this is. You are an essential function of the community, and I say you collectively. But having a library is essential to having a community that is one that's moving forward, and not only just educating kids, but allowing adults to learn the computer skills, or, you know, just be educated, just be knowledgeable of what's going on in the world around them.
exactly. And in my honest opinion, I think we have a wonderful relationship, and I think it's an absolutely wonderful way to combine the two and put them together. I mean, otherwise we have empty space sitting there at night with the lights off. Might as well use the resources we have and combine them.
Or
So,
we're spending double the money
See?
to have yours and ours.
See,
Well,
that's
that
the way it
doesn't
was
make
before.
sense either.
Downstairs here was the library.
I heard a little
Courthouse.
bit about that.
Yeah.
Little being the operative
Yeah.
word.
Yeah, so, yes, and I have to go on record to say I actually check books out of that library, because she does a great job of buying new books, and I'm an avid reader. Every night before I pass out to go to sleep, I gotta have my book. So it's a very nice library.
Yeah, you guys
So-
do a great job.
So no, I would never, at this point, I would never entertain the notion of separating the two. It makes absolutely no sense to me in any way, shape, or form.
Good, I'm
Yeah,
with you.
I don't think, I've
Yeah.
never heard anything about it anyway, but I don't think it would
Well, good. All right, well, if you don't need me for anything else,
be. No,
Thank you.
you bet.
Yeah.
just one thing off the record.
Yes, sir.
I could care less about ties, I never wear a tie, but you got a good one.
The hard decision about this was, today is National End Child Hunger Day or something, and you're supposed to wear orange.
Oh,
And I got an email, so I got my orange on, and I had a big M&M tie on, and I thought, I look obnoxious, and I gotta go stand in front of the commissioners. So I thought, the old tie might just flow a little bit. It might not, but I've never worried about that much. All right.
like you said, never hear me talk about ties. but- Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Are we close to your noon?
I'm like gonna scramble, yeah.
All right.
I've got an online webinar I'm scrambling to get out of here for, so
Oh, okay.
I'm not leaving because I don't like you.
If you'd,
I've got a training.
yeah, if you'd said, just, if you had to leave early, you should have just said it and gone.
Oh, no, I've been watching the time and I got 3
Okay.
minutes, so we're okay. I'll give me time to get up there and get it. If you have questions or need something, I'll be upstairs, I'll be in a webinar,
Oh, okay.
building a better budget training, so,
All right. Thank you, Debbie.
thank you.
So one of the things that we'll have to be looking at with the budget is the number of mills for the library. is shy what our obligation is. So if we get an increase of mills, that would be a good place to put it. I didn't bring my cheaters, but it looks like 3.62 is the mills for that. We could be really close. It would be 52,852 at our total for last year. So if we get a 3% increase, which is what we're expecting, that would be another $1,600. So we would be real close to the 56 or 66, but we would have to find at least another $500,000 for that. Last year, we took it out of PILT, and we hadn't been actually upholding our end of the bargain prior to that, and it's just because we didn't know. We hadn't had this kind of a budget presentation in the past, and we just kind of held to the same number of mills, and we didn't realize when we set it up that it was low. And neither did the school, for that matter. So they learned it last year, brought it forward, and we ended up infilling with PILT. So it would be better for our budgeting to actually find the mills to increase that. And if it's just $500,000, that should be fairly easy to do, relatively speaking.
What's the mill value, 16?
Last year it was 14,619. And the number of mills is 3.62, which is actually 52,921. If we got the 3%, we'd be looking at an increase per mill of 439. So we'd be at 15,058. And I actually think that's very conservative. But that would bring us up to 54.5. We'd need to find 10 grand, so probably a 0.7 of a mill. 0.75 perhaps would take us to that 66.8.
Does that come out of the floating mill, or do we have floating mills?
We
It's
do have
available.
floating mills. Last year we had 111.9 floating mills. What we do with those is we have set the number of mills for general fund, for public safety, and then for everything else. So airport, search and rescue, library, ambulance, they all get a certain number of mills. What we've told everyone is, if the value of a mill goes up, you have a little bit more money to work with. If the value of a mill goes down, you need to tighten your belt, but we're all tightening our belts together. The idea is we're all in this together, and building partnerships saves money, makes us more efficient, and helps us all benefit when we do have an increase in value. Increases in value this past year, about 2/3 of the increases in mill value was due to new construction, particularly businesses. That's good for the individual taxpayer because their taxes actually go down. They didn't see that because of the SRS, but it's a big picture. There's a lot of moving parts. But what we have is a sheet, and I will get you a copy of this if you would like. I think I did once before with the green line through it. I think I gave you this when we first started the budget. It has all the different departments at the top with their number of mills in blue. So each year we get, last year we got 1.26 additional mills. So we get to decide on that 1.26 where those mills are put. We put them all in public safety last year. Some of the needs this year will be public safety always, but the library, health insurance. At this point, that's all I see. But we haven't dug into the particulars yet. From what I've seen of the general fund, most everybody is actually budgeting very responsibly. So I don't see any surprises there, other than we have another piece of this puzzle, and that is we have to rebuild our reserves. We took mills out of the general fund and gave them to public safety last year, but what we did is we depleted the reserves. That is because the reserves had been depleted for public safety over the years prior, and Wynn inherited a mess. So somehow we have to focus on rebuilding those reserves somehow.
Is that the reserves for the general fund, basically?
For
all
both.
accounts in the general fund and the public safety?
Reserves are, after you've built your budget and realized what your income is, you need to take out 33% of your expenses, and that's your reserves. Your reserves are to fund your operation from July of the new year until taxes come in November. Cities get 50%, counties get 33%. So you guys had them at the city.
Does that normally cover that? Or do we run low on that? If you have your reserves set there, does that cover those months from July to November, or
Yeah.
it covers enough of it?
Yep. One of the issues we had last year is we had a number of department heads actually spend their reserves early. So by the time we got into the budget, we were already behind.
In the hole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's one of the things that Debbie put in her memo is there's going to be a line item that says you can only spend it with commission approval.
Yeah,
That's the reserves.
okay.
Too many people look at their cash reports and say, oh, I got money here. Well, it's above their authorized spending, but they spend it anyway because they have it. Well, a lot of that's their reserves.
Okay.
So, I'll also get you the tax requirements report, which has the mill levy value on it.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about floating mills or enterprise funds or any of that stuff at this point?
The floating mills are just mills that we can move around between departments, right?
We could. Probably not a good idea, but we could, and we do to a small extent. But floating mills, by definition, are the mills that go to fund all the different services that collect mills.
So basically, they're non-devoted mills. You got ones that you have to give certain mills to. The other floating mills are ones that you can move around, but you try not to maintain your balance.
No, the floating mills are all the mills that we have authority over, be it for those things we have to fund and those things that some folks might think we don't have to fund. The state will dictate how many mills go to particular departments like road, like
Okay.
mosquito, like weed. The floating mills are the ones that we have more authority over.
Okay.
When we get our valuations, we get about 24 sheets of paper for each one of the different funds that we have. Some are floating, some are not.
Oh, okay.
My understanding of the floating, it's just kind of stabilize it for different, like conservation district is under that, so if revenue goes down, it kind of maintains them where they're at all the time, from my understanding.
It's not the floating mills that do that, Franklin, it's actually Broadwater County policy that does that. Conservation District, their mills are set by Department of Revenue. So that's one of those individual sheets we get when we get our valuations. So they're actually not included in that. They are determined by Department of Revenue. And there's a formula that each of those particular funds has to fill out, send to Department of Revenue, and they send it back saying, this is your valuation, and this is how many mills you have.
So can you, if that department needs more, can you supplement that out of your floating to that department? I mean, does the state
Some.
mills, is that exactly, that's what they're allowed to have, or that's what they're allowed to have, or that's what they have to have?
That's what they have to have.
You have to give them that much, but you can also supplement that with some of these floating mills.
You could,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Probably not a good idea or a good practice because those floating mills are needed.
In other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like the road department, for example, we do have a CIP, and we will put money into that CIP on an annual basis from PILT, not necessarily from floating mills. So we can fund them a bit more. It's probably smarter to go the CIP route than just funding their budget.
Yeah.
And when Department of Revenue says this is how much money you have for road, it is illegal for us to take any of that money and use it for library.
Yeah, same with, is weed not the same?
Weed is the same,
And
Yep.
is mosquito?
yes, yeah. Those are districts, and the voters voted that they wanted to pay so much in mills every year for that particular service. And then with weed, there's an additional law that says you will fund weed up to this amount,
Yeah.
or at a minimum of this amount. And it's a minimum of 1.6 mils or $100,000 per year, whichever is less. So we do the 1.6 mils, and then the citizen said, we want to pay another 5 mils in weed abatement on top of that. So they get an automatic 6.6 a year.
Who do we have left? Airport? No, we still have airport, right?
We do have the
Search and
airport,
rescue. Corey?
Corey. We already got search and rescue, although we'll need to address that. They have a set number of mills. So when asked for an increase in their spending, it'll have to be under their mills.
Oh, okay.
Community development, which is Nicole, planning. And there's one other one that we're.
Ambulance
Ambulance.
and Rocky.
Yeah, yeah. And then from there, we should have a full picture and start drilling down on some of the details.
Okay.
Any questions too on the enterprise fund, how those work?
No, I think I kinda understand those pretty well. They pretty
Alright.
much run on whatever they generate.
Right, yeah. We just have the two silos and solid waste.
Okay.
And same thing, we can give them money from PIL to fund a CIP if we want. But we can't take their money for something else.
Yeah. Okay, I'm confused enough for today.
All right. It is complicated, there's a lot of
Well,
moving
and you know,
pieces.
this process that we've got here is a lot more, it's a lot more defined than what the city used to do. It's a lot more defined and it's a lot simpler than what we used to do in the city.
Yeah, it actually is quite simple, it's just there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, and everybody wants everything of everything we don't have.
That's exactly right. And it becomes hard to say no because they take it personally.
Yeah, it's just business.
adjourn, and it's 12:10, so I'll get that time in.
But one of the things that I heard from the citizens pretty loudly last year was the county is obligated to help fund the library. They voted $1 million for the school, and they were livid that the county was potentially, we didn't, but there was move for us to shirk our responsibility with the library
With the library.
to fund something else. And they were angry that we would be using the mill they voted on for the school for county purposes.
Well,
And they were right,
Thing is,
they are
I
100% right.
think a lot of those other people don't really realize how many people from the county use the library
Absolutely,
for more than just checking out books.
yeah. Yeah, it's,
So the school's gonna, they're gonna increase their technology, but they're not gonna be involved with Blackfoot for a year probably.
at least, yeah. They, I don't know if you knew this, but they are going to be a satellite at Helena College.
I heard that.
Yeah.
So, would it be beneficial for that guy from Blackfoot to come to the commission and give a presentation or not,
Yes, he's gonna come the 3rd,
of May?
yes.
Okay.
And he should have, he's hoping to have a price breakdown for us early next week,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah.
So they're moving 10 people, are they moving 10 people from Missoula to here, or they're gonna hire 10? They'll move those people here.
And then they'll have to hire on top of that,
Oh, good, that's
Yeah.
good.
yeah.
I didn't realize how large that business was.
Yeah,
What are the
I didn't
Montana
either.
Hydraulics, the ones that bought the land chamber building? I just thought they were in Helena, I didn't realize that they were coming out of Missoula. That'll be interesting, we're gonna have to put in a good, they better, has anybody heard anything of the highway doing any more construction on that road? Cause I see surveyors out there the other day.
yeah, we get a STIP report, I'm not sure what STIP stands for, but it's from MDT every year, and we will have,
State Transportation Improvement Project.
perfect, thank
That-
you.
That, because I still get it from when I was on the council, they've never taken me off of it, so I still get that.
Okay,
Like every month I get it.
we have a regional meeting coming up in May, and we will get it there, plus we'll be talking with Wayne,
Oh,
with
okay.
MDT about it
Okay.
at that time, so, yeah, that's where we'll get the full report.
So in reality, the only place that they can't do any more lanes is through Townsend,
Right, yeah,
because they're gonna do Tosca next year, not the bridge, but aren't they
Yeah.
doing everything from
From where it
Camp
is
Hill to
ended
where
there.
it is right now?
Right.
Wow, I'll make that a lot.
Yeah. That's supposed to be done in 16, but
Yeah,
it kept getting delayed.
hopefully they'll get that financed this year.
what,